Continuing from the previous episode 1080. And as Xuanling Mountain is a more and more intense battle, even other powerhouses watching the battle have not noticed that a trace of quite hidden black gas has completely surrounded the foot of Xuanling Mountain. At this time, Xuanling Mountain has become a huge black cage that can only be entered, but not out. How is the situation? Can it be done? At this time, at the foot of Xuanling Mountain, 3 figures quietly came here. To shut up. You're the only one who talks a lot. The man at the head was quite handsome, but compared to the man at the back, he was still a little less handsome. You're a big brother. Xiao Yi couldn't help sneering when she saw Long Yi like this. Okay, you can come? Long Yi said angrily. I'll come. And Xiao Yi couldn't get enough of it, so she went straight up the mountain, facing the black chi that surrounded Xuanling Mountain. It's better for me to do it. This thing is not that simple. After a while, seeing the 2 brothers beside him being so noisy, Xiao Yan took a step forward and said. Since Xiao Yan left Fenxiang Pavilion in a rage, he went to the Xuanling royal family. He originally wanted to go directly to the Xuanling royal family to save Kailin and Mu Yingying, but he was too weak, and with the persuasion of the Lord of Soul Eater, it took time to calm down, but later Xiao Yu, relying on the special connection with Xiao Yan, brought Long Yi to find Xiao Yan, and the 3 brothers were reunited. Big brother, you said that King Xuanling has a lot of ambitions. In the beginning, I just knew that this guy colluded with the Ghost Realm and the Soul Clan, but now it seems that the Ghost Realm and the Soul Clan are only his stepping stones. I actually want to devour 2 holy flames, I'm afraid. Xiao Yi and Long Yi stood at the back, and Xiao Yi smiled slightly. Long Yi heard the words and deliberately made some noises to signal to Xiao Yi, but unfortunately Xiao Yi didn't find out. After a while, Xiao Yan directly used his khaki holy flame power to burn the black air into a gap large enough for people to pass through. Interesting, it's actually a combination of blood demon gold energy and ghost energy. The Soul Eater and Xiao Yan also said slightly. This is a dangerous journey. I have to rescue Kailin, Mu Yingying and his brother, and if necessary, completely wipe out the Xuanling royal family. Xiao Yan looked at the gap and said slightly, with an unquestionable firmness in his voice. At the beginning, Long Yi and Xiao Yi, who were laughing and talking, both frowned when they heard the words. If these words were said from someone else's mouth, I'm afraid it would be no different from a dream. After all, a guy in the middle stage of the 7-star Do Emperor wants to get involved in the battle of Do Xian level. The 2 have to pay attention. Because the 2 of them both knew Xiao Yan's unequivocal character. Is there no room for maneuver? Long Yi asked slightly. No, unless I die. Xiao Yan finished speaking, ignoring Xiao Yi and Long Yi at the rear, and jumped into it. Little guy, there is potential. It seems that the guy from the Golden Dragon King had long anticipated that today would happen. He said before he left that this time the real catastrophe of life and death can only depend on you. It's over, and the rebirth from ashes will soar into the sky. If it fails, I'm afraid it will also live up to our expectations for you. Come on, little guy. When Xiao Yan swept away Xuanling Mountain, the Soul Eater in his body also said softly. It looks like this time will be interesting. 3rd brother, let's go crazy with him once. Go. Long Yi and Xiao Yi both looked at each other, without the slightest fear, they stepped directly into it. As Xiao Yan and the 3 entered Xuanling Mountain, the gap was closed again, and Xuanling Mountain was wrapped tightly. At the altar at the top of Xuanling Mountain, 4 shocking battles started slowly. Damn. After the sect master of the poison sect received the blow from King Xuanling, he couldn't help but struggle. The battle with King Xuanling just started. The sect master of poison sect relied on his own strength as a 1-star Do Xian perfection, and with the addition of poison fighting chi, he had a faint momentum of suppressing King Xuanling, but as the battle got longer and longer, the sect master of the poison sect found that his advantages had gradually disappeared, and he had even fallen into a disadvantage. The mere sect master of the poison sect is nothing more than that. King Xuanling laughed loudly, his speed soared, and the huge power of fighting immortals roared out from his palms, attacking the sect master of the poison sect without leaving any hands. And the sect master of the poison sect can only defend temporarily. After all, if he were to use the poisonous body here, even King Xuanling would not be able to eat and walk around. But the sect master of the poison sect knew that during the entire Xuanzhen 3 days, Fen Tian was probably the only one who knew how to rescue the negative poison body, and now that Fen Tian was injured, if he solved the negative poison physique here by himself, although he could completely win the battle, but Yan Fenshin, I am afraid that they have to be separated from each other. Although the sect master of the poison sect already has this awareness, who doesn't want to stay with the person he loves for a long time? These bastards, the power in their body, is not right. On the other side, Zhu Jin was also quite embarrassed by the attack of the 8 dragon-loving legion. Jin has the title of Xuanshan's #1 Do Array Master, and if it was someone else, he would have already lost to one of the 8 of them, but even so, Zhu Jin was quite difficult to deal with. The power in them is not quite right. I have a good relationship with Chen Tian. Their strength is clearly mixed with some strength, and even their hearts have changed. Zhu Jin said to Shefu, who was beside him. Shefu's situation is also not optimistic. With his half-immortal strength, he can only passively defend against the 9-star Do Emperor. It seems that this time, you will definitely lose. In the last battle circle, Chen Tian narrowed his eyes slightly, staring at the other 3 battle circles, and said, "So I have to defeat you in a short period of time to change the situation of the battle." The pavilion master of Wanhua Pavilion glanced slightly and found that the other 3 battles were all at a disadvantage, and even the always powerful poison sect master was defeated by Zan Ling. The king's persecution gradually retreated, and said, "Although your strength has reached the late 1-star fighting immortal stage, and I am only 1-star fighting immortal early stage, but you know why, you can't beat me directly in a short time?" Qin Tian's eyes exuded a rather terrifying fluctuation, staring at the pavilion master of Wanhua Pavilion said, "Oh, why is that?" The pavilion master of Wanhua Pavilion was also secretly shocked when he heard the words. Obviously, what Qin Tian said was the truth. "My king, since the plan has already started, you don't need to keep it." At the next moment, Qin Tian called out loudly to King Xuanling, who was beside him. "All right. This time, in fact, since you accepted the invitation from Xuanling, you have already lost." When Xuanling King heard the words, he also laughed out loud, broke free from the poison sect master in an instant, and then laughed wildly in the sky. "This guy, isn't he crazy?" Dan Gui and other powerhouses asked in doubt when they saw this. "The power of ghosts. Return to your place." The next moment, the Xuanling King shouted at the entire sky, and in that sky, a strange cloud filled with black ghost energy and blood-red evil energy slowly emerged. The thunder of ghosts. "Kill me!" In the next moment, before the 4 sect masters of the poison sect could react, 4 black and red lightning beams with a size of hundreds of meters in the strange cloud shot towards the 4 of them. In the black-red lightning beam, small and incomparably small evil runes slowly emerged with the power to devour and destroy everything. Peefed! Before the 4 of them could react, a mouthful of blood suddenly spewed out, and then the figures fell to the ground and flew away. Silence all over the place. No accident these days should be the 3rd watch, because the writing is relatively slow. End of this chapter. Continuing from the previous episode 1081. How could it be possible? Seeing the figure of Zhu Jin and the 4 quickly falling down, the pill ghost Yi Qingtian and his team of fighting immortals couldn't help but change their expressions. Ha ha ha, didn't think of it? But King Xuanling was suspended under the black-red cloud, and a loud laughter spread to everyone's heart. Peefed! The 4 Zhu Jin gushed out with a mouthful of blood, and then their breath dropped sharply, returning directly to the ground, but their faces were staring at the Xuanling King who was far away in the air, and a wave of fear emerged. Because at this moment in the black and red thunder and lightning clouds, a power that makes everyone vaguely restless emerges. But the attack from the Xuanling King just now was a rather serious blow to the 4 of them. Damn King Xuanling! What kind of power is that behind you? Shefu's figure just recovered, and he shouted angrily at King Xuanling. This is the power of the combination of foreign evil races and ghost chi. It's specially reserved to deal with you immortal warriors. King Xuanling also smiled slightly at this time. You still admit it, Zhu Jin muttered as he looked at the King Xuanling with a brighter smile in the sky. Yes, you are already the turtles in the urn, so why not admit it? King Xuanling also admitted without hesitation in the face of Zhu Jin's doubts. Ha ha ha, King Xuanling, you are too arrogant. You can think about it clearly, the number of strong people here is tantamount to a disaster for your Xuanling royal family. At this time, the palace master of the puppet palace stood up and said, "Indeed, in addition to the alliance of their 4 sects, the strength of the leaders of super sects like you should not be underestimated. But do you think that if I have the courage to invite you here, will there be no way to deal with you?" Joke. King Xuanling growled slightly, but no one noticed that the area of the huge black and red cloud continued to expand, and in just a few breaths, it enveloped the entire sky above Xuanling Mountain, and Zon Kang's the figure also appeared on the cloud very covertly. On the palm of his hand, a rather delicate jade gourd appeared in his hand. In the jade gourd, some liquid like clear water slowly appeared, obviously preparing something. Without further ado, since it has been confirmed that the Xuanling King and the extraterritorial evil clan have colluded with the ghost world, let's all work together to capture King Xuanling. The next moment, a group of strong immortal warriors led by the pill ghost Yi Qingtian said directly. They knew that the combat effectiveness of Zhu Jin and the others at this time was greatly reduced, and it was a good time for them to contribute. These guys, the 4 injured poison sect master, looked at these people who suddenly changed their countermeasures and couldn't help shaking their heads. Although their strength is tyrannical, they just didn't shoot together, which is tantamount to consuming too much power. Wanjamen Wine Sword Immortal, Ancient Desolate Halls Hallmaster, Puppet Mansion Hallmaster, Purgatory Hall Hallmaster, the strength of the 4 fighting immortals. King Xuanling said slightly, "All the members of the Xuanling royal family, stop them," Xuanling said to a group of strong men behind him, and then the members of the Dragon Addiction Legion and the old man would make another move to try to keep him behind. As for King Xuanling, a trace of black and red power continued to emerge from his body, gathering towards the cloud. King Xuanling knew that the power in his body was quite noisy. Even if his strength had been promoted to 1-star Do Xian, he still had many inconveniences. Therefore, the best way now is to draw the blood of the 10-colored swallowing python to devour the holy flame, and use the power of holy flame to completely wipe out the other forces in one's body. Otherwise, such noisy power will definitely affect oneself. Future practice. However, before swallowing the holy flame, these ants must be completely dealt with. When did the strength of these guys become so strong? Yi Qingtian, the pill ghost, bore the brunt of it, directly facing Do Xian Qintian, and couldn't help but speak. The power used by the members of the Xuanling royal family is different from that of ordinary people. The power is full of unspeakable evil intentions, which makes many strong people feel a little strange in their hearts. Damn. How can I do it now? Our Xuanxian and 8 super sects have completely torn apart our face with the Xuanling royal family. Are we going to stand on that side? Outside the altar, some powerful minds of small sects couldn't help but say. Among these figures, most of them are 8-star or even 9-star fighting emperors, so they are naturally unable to get involved in battles at the level of fighting immortals. What should I do now? Shefu looked at the obvious injuries on the 4 of them and said. Strange to say, after the black-red beam attack, the power in everyone's body was faintly suppressed. Shefu, go and mobilize the army. Zhu Jin thought for a while, but said, among the 4, only Shefu is a half-immortal. Okay. Shefu heard the words and swept under the altar. King Xuanling, it seems that something is brewing. Looking at the expanding black and red clouds and thunders in the sky, the sect master of Poison Sect couldn't help but turn his eyes quickly and said, Sect Master of Poison Sect has a natural sensitivity to toxins. Can the 4 of them deal with the other powerhouses of the Xuanling royal family? The Pavilion Master of Wanhua Pavilion glanced at the 4 people who were at war with the Xuanling royal family at this time, and couldn't help but say, I'm afraid not. Do it. And Zhu Jin also snorted coldly, and then his figure exploded, swept away at the dragon-loving legion and the old man in midair. King Xuanling, what the asterisk are you doing? And the sect master of the Poison Sect also jumped into the sky. In a short period of time, he came to King Xuanling and said to King Xuanling Zhao, it's coming soon. It won't be long before you can enjoy a feast. But King Xuanling had a rather sinister smile on the corner of his mouth. Fuck it, die. After the Poison Sect master finished speaking, a trace of colored poisonous miasma appeared on his body in an instant. Obviously, this time, the Poison Sect master was no longer ready to let go. The 7 immortals are fighting against the Xuanling royal family. I am afraid that the Xuanling royal family is tyrannizing, and this time it has completely fallen. I didn't expect that King Xuanling would make such a low-level mistake. But some of the powerhouses watching the battle shrank their pupils, as if they had seen King Xuanling's fiasco. Bang bang bang. Not long after, with the cooperation of the other 6 fighting immortals, the 9 members of the Dragon Addiction Legion and the Old Man were all defeated. King Xuanling, it's over. While Zhu Jin was dealing with the other people temporarily, the 6 fighting immortals went directly to the sky where King Xuanling was. 7 fighting immortals surrounded and hunted the Xuanling king. Although it's a pity, the power of fighting immortals is really wonderful. After King Xuanling finished speaking, there was a slight drizzle in the black and red thunder and lightning clouds. The continuous drizzle was bland and unpredictable, but it was like the wrath of the sky, lightly beating on the bodies of the 7 fighting immortals. 3 shifts today, end of this chapter. Continuing from the previous episode 1082. This guy, you still do this kind of thing when you're about to die? Looking at the altar, the drizzle continued to swept over. Wanjiamen Wine Sword Fairy couldn't help but said. The strength has reached the level of fighting immortals, and he can already make a premonition of danger by instinct, but the feeling of this drizzle to everyone is normal, so no one feels wrong. At this time, as the drizzle fell, the hidden Zon Kang above the black and red clouds gently opened the jade gourd, and then a drop of liquid that was no different from ordinary water directly fell on the black among the red clouds, and then along the black and red clouds, mixed with ordinary rain. This rain is weird. And from the back, since Xiao Yan and the 3 entered Xuanling Mountain, they used their familiarity with Kalin and Mu Yingying to search for them. Don't touch the rain. Let's go underground first. Xiao Yan glanced at Xuanling King, who was besieged by 7 fighting immortals in the sky. For some unknown reason, there was a hint of fear in his heart. Let's go. The 2 of Long Yi looked at each other and didn't stop there. They followed Xiao Yan and headed towards the ground, but they didn't get any rain. King Xuanling, don't play tricks. You are already dying. Seeing King Xuanling facing the 7 of them with a calm expression, the palace master of the puppet palace took a step forward and said, "Oh, is that so? Then you can come and try it." And the Xuanling king knew that even if he mixed the soul control into ordinary rainwater, it would still take a lot of time to exert its medicinal power, so he was prepared to delay. Time Road, stop talking nonsense. I always feel that something is wrong with this guy. Let's do it together and catch him. As long as he is resolved, then all this will naturally be self-defeating. The Poison Sect master glanced at the drizzle in the sky, as if he had some conjecture, and said immediately, "Okay, do it." And the other 6 nodded when they heard the words, but they felt that this battle seemed too simple, and obviously had some unreal feelings. Let the horses come here. And after all that, King Xuanling did not continue to inject power into the black and red clouds. After all, the injection of power was only to make the rain fall, thus confusing the audience. Crash! The combined combat power of the 7 fighting immortals is earth-shattering. Even with the complete strength of the Xuanling King's 1-star fighting immortals, it is still quite difficult. This guy, the sect master of Poison Sect, suddenly felt a strong unease in his heart, but he didn't know where the unease came from. "Shefu, why are you back?" The 7 people were about to join forces when they saw the figure of Shefu, and Zhu Jin asked when she saw the figure of Shefu appearing. Boom boom boom. Before Zhu Jin's voice had just fallen, the snake-shaped scepter roared towards Zhu Jin, causing waves of violent energy fluctuations. That kind of attack is like a deadly enemy, a desperate blow. Damn, what's going on? When Zhu Jin saw this, he was also shocked, but he still used all his strength to stop her attack without hurting Shefu. "Shefu, stay awake. It's all my own." After blocking Shefu's attack, Zhu Jin couldn't help roaring at him. Bang bang bang. Shefu seemed to be ignoring Zhu Jin's words, and he was attacking him with a powerful attack. It's just that in Shefu's pupils, a rather obscure blood-colored aura slowly emerged. Boom boom boom. Dan Gui, why are you beating your own people? The other fighting immortals were also confused, but after a while, the same scene as Shefu happened to Dan Gui Yi Qingtian. This rain is weird. Seeing these 2 people fall into such a state one after another, the sect master of Poison Sect couldn't help but say, "What should I do now?" Zhu Jin looked at the 2 of them, and for a while, there was nothing he could do. Kill Xuanling King first. I'm afraid this matter has something to do with him. And the sect master of Poison Sect also turned around and whistled away at Xuanling King. When the other 5 saw this, a powerful attack was instantly launched, and they also attacked the Xuanling King. In the face of such a strong attack, if King Xuanling takes over, he will probably be wiped out in an instant. It's been so long, it's time to move on to the next step. King Xuanling watched these fighting immortals display what they had learned all their lives and attacked him without any hesitation. The soft crystal ball slowly appeared. Wing Om Om. With the appearance of the crystal soul ball, a faint trace of the soul origin of the pill ghost Yi Qingtian and Shefu immediately poured into it. You, come too. Ha ha ha. The next moment, the Xuanling King laughed horribly. As soon as the laughter fell, a wave of terrifying fluctuations with different emotional fluctuations suddenly emerged in the crystal soul ball. Hate, joy, sorrow, sorrow and joy. A trace of different emotions directly turned into a dazzling light, strung into the bodies of many strong men who attacked him. With King Xuanling coming out, the 5 fighting immortals all became slow in their movements, then suddenly lost their expressions in their pupils, and then a trace of evil blood, endured, kept appearing. The 5 people, except the sect master of the Poison Sect and the pavilion master of Wanhua Pavilion, were all controlled. What is this? The pavilion master of Wanhua Pavilion and the sect master of Poison Sect, back to back, asked him a question. This is a soul control guide. I can't think of what I'm most worried about has happened. I am the sinner of Zan Santian Poison Sect master's eyes radiated a trace of determination, and then said slightly. Is there a solution for this thing? The pavilion master of Wanhua Pavilion said a word, because she was also affected by the rain. If it wasn't for her tyrannical support, she might have been controlled by the Xuanling King. There should be, it's just that I spent decades and still can't find it. Wawa, farewell this time, remember to take good care of Fen Tian for me. And there was a hint of tenderness in his eyes, and then the sect master of Poison Sect lightly pushed the pavilion master of Wanhua Pavilion beside him, and suddenly smiled. The poisonous body. Kai. Then, before the sect master of the Poison Sect could speak, he was hit in the back of the head by a tyrannical attack and temporarily fell into a coma. You are so stupid. The 3 of us are indispensable. After the Wanhua Pavilion knocked the Poison Sect unconscious, he said with a slight smile. It's really touching, but I have to thank you a lot. Otherwise, this dreadful poisonous body will be completely detonated, which is a big problem. Looking at the 2 sect masters of the Poison Sect, King Xuanling roared and laughed. If that's the case, then become my slave. After a while, strong fluctuations spread out on the crystal-colored soul ball. At that time, the pavilion master of Wanhua Pavilion and the sect master of Poison Sect would also be not spared. At this moment, on this altar, the members of the Xuanling royal family and the countless powerhouses who participated in the demon extermination ceremony all showed a trace of awe in their eyes, and then respectfully called out to the Xuanling King in the sky. One sentence, long live my king. Today's 3rd watch, something happened, end of this chapter. Continuing from the previous episode 1083. Ha ha ha, okay. King Xuanling looked at the tyrannical aura of the leaders of the 8 sects just now, but now he was his own prisoner, and couldn't help roaring and laughing. I really didn't expect the sect master of Poison Sect to have such a powerful thing. At this time, not only the 8 sects fighting immortal powerhouses were controlled by Xuanling King, but even all the powerhouses who stayed in Xuanling Mountain at this time. Its control. At this time, on Xuanling Mountain, on the huge altar, hundreds of powerhouses all looked at Xuanling King with respect, and among them there were dozens of powerhouses fighting immortals. You must know that in the past, 1 or 2 strong fighting immortals were able to join the Xuanxin super sect, but now that there are more than 10 strong fighting immortals, I am afraid that the power of the Xuanling royal family will rise, not to mention there are as many as the 9-star fighting emperors and the 8-star fighting emperors. Congratulations to my king. Congratulations to my king. The plan was successful. With these dozens of immortal warriors, within 3 days of Zan, my king will be invincible. And now the entire Xuanxin Santian is already in my king's pocket. Seeing that the countless powerhouses here were full of awe at Xuanling King, Wen Zi's figure suddenly came out and said. At this time, the entire Xuanling royal family, except for Wen Zi and some very few people, almost all had been led to control by the Xuanling King through soul control. Soul control leads these people to be absolutely convinced, and among these controlled human beings, each person's soul power is injected into Xuanling King's crystal-colored soul ball. Life or death depends entirely on Xuanling King's, in a moment. Ha ha ha. Of course. With these guys as my huge army, after I devour the holy flame, I will dominate Zan Santian, and then with the full power of Xuan, it is not too bad to erode the other 3 fast continents. Although our Xuanling continent is the weakest in the Duty Sifang continent, I am willing to be the leader. I will completely change the situation, Xuanling King said with a manic laugh. My king, you can start the next step. Seeing King Xuanling so happy, Wen Zi also laughed. Then let's start, the Feast of Swallowing Flames. Start it. Just let you slaves see what I have planned for decades. King Xuanling landed slightly when he heard the words, and his voice was filled with indescribable, terrifying fluctuations. My king. As King Xuanling descended, the 8 sect-fighting immortals who were under control all gathered towards King Xuanling. HMPH. Just as King Xuanling raised his head, he saw Zhu Jin's expression like stagnant water. He couldn't help but wave his hand, and a tyrannical fighting spirit attacked him directly. Shabu shabu. Seeing this, Zhu Jin's pupils were still calm, and there was no movement at all, but he was hit by King Xuanling's attack and flew out dozens of meters upside down. If it hadn't been useful to keep you all, I'm afraid you would have already become the souls of my subordinates at this time. I hope you can help me make more military exploits in the future. Looking at Zhu Jin, King Xuanling said angrily. The Xuanling royal family, the Fenxian Pavilion and the Medusa clan have deep grievances. If it wasn't for the Xuanling king to gather strength to erode the other 3 continents, I am afraid that these 2 sects would have already fallen completely. Yes, Zhu Jin also gently agreed. Then next, let you witness this moment. The day of conferring immortals. King Xuanling roared after seeing a group of giants neatly lined up behind him. At the forefront is Zan Kang, a 2-star Do Xian. In turn, there are as many as 10 Do Xian and some 9-star Do Di, arranged in order of strength. These powerhouses are the Xuanling king who will erode the other 3 continents in the future. The most powerful force, King Xuanling was reluctant to lose the slightest bit. My king Shengming. When all the powerhouses under control heard the words, they also spoke slightly, and there was a sense of respect in their voices. Possibly even the sect master of Poison Sect didn't think that the power of this soul control guide was so tyrannical, not to mention that a mere 1-star Do Xian could be controlled, and even a 2-star Do Xian might be controlled, and that kind of control even came from the depths of the soul, making it impossible to guard against. Let them all go to me. After a while, King Xuanling glanced at the huge army behind him with satisfaction and said with a smile. Yes. Wen Zi heard the words and walked directly to the altar not far from the Xuanling king's crowd, and then in a dark place on the altar, he gently twisted something, and then there was a rumbling sound. It sounded slowly. When the mechanism was rotating, a rather strange phenomenon occurred below. Be careful, the atmosphere here is not quite right. Ghost Qi and Blood Demon Gold Qi emerged from each other. The Xuanling king probably also thought of this step, so he did it. When he just came to the underground palace, the Soul Eater and Xiao Yan said, "Where does this lead to?" Xiao Yan agreed softly, and then he and Long Yu walked towards the depths of the underground palace. It is strange to say that when the battle and the reign of soul controlling occurred above the altar, there was no one guarding the bottom of the altar. There is their taste in here. Go this way. Not long after, the 3 of Xiao Yan came to a fork, and Xiao Yan directly pulled the 2 of them and poured into the middle of the forks of the 3 passages. Wearing a cloak, if you encounter other things in a while, take the opportunity. After Xiao Yan finished speaking, the 3 cloaks directly covered the 3 people's figures, and then the 3 of them walked away from the depths of the ground. Someone is here. After a while, a shadowy figure above the 3 evil pillars spoke softly just below the altar. Who? Get out! And Mu Yingying was also full of anger, so she let out a loud shout. Oh, little girl, are you still very strong? Do you know who I am? Talk to me like this. Are you not afraid that I will eat you? The rather burly man at the head was the first to speak. This person's aura is a bit strong. While Yan Kai on the side was still in a deep sleep, Kai Lin's beautiful eyes looked at the 3 figures not far away and couldn't help but say, "Who are you?" "Me, Mu Yingying and sister Kaylin are not so easy to bully. You guys from the Xuanling royal family, sooner or later, we will beat you all over the place to find your teeth. Mu Yingying said with some pride in her voice. How come these two guys have such a good relationship? But after the three figures, the last figure couldn't help but touch his nose. She clearly remembers Mu Yingying's attitude when she found out that Kaylin was her wife, which was completely different from what it is now. The transformation in it was too terrifying. Could it be that Kaylin brainwashed her? Well, it's possible. The last figure couldn't help muttering while looking at Kaylin's calm expression and Mu Yingying, who was very active. It's rude. Call me big brother. The figure at the head smiled slowly, and then a silver thunderstorm swept through the whole body. The next moment, the figures of the three suddenly appeared. Xiao Yan. When they saw the last person in the figure, Mu Yingying and Kai Lin couldn't help but murmured. End of this chapter. Continuing from the previous episode 1084. Love Novel has opened a mobile station. Mobile users can log in to read, and the effect is even better. Xiao Yan, why are you here? No, it's too dangerous here, hurry up. And the next moment, as Kaylin and Mu Yingying spoke out at the same time, not only did Kaylin's pretty face not show joy because of Xiao Yan's appearance, but a shocking expression appeared on Kaylin's pretty face. It was a worry. Relying on Kaylin's current 1-star fighting immortal consummate strength, coupled with the blood power of the 10-colored swallowing python, against Xuan Kang, who was in the middle stage of 2-star fighting immortals, he would not have the strength to fight, let alone Xiao Yan's fighting power. If you can't deal with it, it's tantamount to coming over to die. Moreover, according to Kaylin's feelings towards Xiao Yan would never let Xiao Yan die in vain, and hurriedly said. No wonder Xiao Yan took a fancy to. And since Mu Yingying parted ways with Xiao Yan at the beginning, she was in the middle of Xiao Yan, and she couldn't help but have grains and miscellaneous grains in her heart, but before she could speak, she heard Kai Lin's concern. Slightly startled, the words that he wanted to say were temporarily pressed on his lips. Don't worry, no matter how powerful the Xuanling royal family is, from ancient times to the present, my Yan Emperor's women have not dared to move. Xiao Yan looked at Kaylin tenderly, and said with a rather rogue voice. Since Xiao Yan and Kaylin parted slightly that day, the two have missed each other very much. Naturally, they are very happy when they are together, but because there are outsiders, they have not shown too much. Long Yi and Xiao Yi on the side could hear a strong chill in their voices. Needless to say, they also knew that if King Xuanling insisted on attacking Kaylin and Mu Yingying, Xiao Yan would fight even if he tried to fight. The danger of falling is also bound to fight to the death with it. You bastard. Still so stubborn. And Kaylin looked at Xiao Yan's rather rogue tone and smile. Her mood also became soothed. Xiao Yan's personality really didn't change, which made her remember things on Dochi continent. But whenever, as long as this guy Xiao Yan is by his side, he can always give himself quite a quiet mood, even if the enemy is strong. Xiao Yan glanced at Kaylin affectionately, and then glanced at Mu Yingying slightly. After confirming that neither of them was life-threatening, he began to study the things that bound them. Bound you guys? Is there any way to break it? After a while, Xiao Yan asked Kai Lin. This thing is formed by the fusion of two forces from the evil race outside the territory and the ghost world. If you want to break it, I'm afraid it won't be so easy. When Kaylin heard the words, she shook her head slightly. If these three pillars are so simple, I'm afraid they won't be able to trap her. Senior, there is nothing you can do? Xiao Yan still said unwillingly. There is no way for the time being. Even if I take action, it will not be solved for a while, said Soul Eater. Be careful, the breath above the altar has become quiet, and it seems that something major is going to happen. After a while, the Lord of Soul Eater said solemnly. Is this Senior Yan Kai? Seeing that there was no way to solve this pillar for a while, Xiao Yan turned towards Yan Kai, who was drowsy. At this time, Yan Kai was obviously falling into a deep sleep, but the extremely evil power on his body could not be concealed. Be careful, I always feel that King Xuanling's breath is not right. And behind King Xuanling, there is a behemoth. The ancestor of the Xuanling royal family. Xuan Kang. Kai Lin seemed to have thought of something, her beautiful eyes moved slightly, and she said to Xiao Yan. Xuan Kang? How can it be? Didn't that guy fall into the hands of the former Queen Medusa? Xiao Yan was surprised when he heard this. Me and Mu Yingying were caught by him. He is very strong, and he is in the middle stage of 2-star fighting immortals. But I always feel that he is not normal. It seems that he is being controlled. Kalen Zaidu said, the middle stage of the 2-star Do Xian? And when Xiao Yan heard the words, his dark pupils shrank tightly. Obviously, this level of powerhouse is simply an insurmountable mountain for him now. The middle stage of the 2-star fighting immortal. I can stop him temporarily, but I can't help you with other things. When Xiao Yan was shocked, the Soul Eater also said, it's so good. Xiao Yan heard the words, and the big stone in his heart fell to the ground. A powerhouse in the middle of the 2-star Do Xian, in Zon 3 days, is enough to change the situation of any battle. Any battle situation. Now that he has the promise of the Soul Eater, Xiao Yan is also relieved. As for the Xuanling King who has completed the 1-star fight, Xiao Yan has an immature method in his heart. If this method is successful, it will undoubtedly be a big kill for him in the future. However, if he failed, Xiao Yan couldn't even imagine the consequences. Every time he thought of this method, Xiao Yan couldn't help holding the 2 Saint Flame crystals in his body tightly, which was Xiao Yan's last proof. I'll save you guys first. As soon as he finished speaking, Xiao Yan was about to move them along with the pillars. I'm afraid it's too late. As Xiao Yan's voice just fell and he was about to start, there was a sudden vibration. Immediately, the ground occupied by the 3 pillars was suddenly lifted, rising at an extreme speed. Damn, what's the matter? Xiao Yan couldn't help scolding when shocked by this sudden scene. It seems that King Xuanling has prepared his plan. Kai Lin also smiled at Xiao Yan. What plan? Xiao Yan asked. Swallowing Flame's feast. The next moment, Mu Yingying, who had been quiet all the time, had her beautiful eyes darkened, and then revealed each word. UU reading link to www.youcanshu.com. Crash. While Xiao Yan and the others were talking, the 3 pillars were poured into the center of the altar at the top of Xuanling Mountain directly by an unknown mechanism. My king, they are here. Watching the 3 pillars slowly emerge from the ground, Wen Zi on the side smiled charmingly. My subordinates, let's take a look. This is the plan I have planned for decades. With the 10-colored sky swallowing python, I can devour the power of the holy flame in one fell swoop. The power of the 2 holy flames is enough to give me the power to erode other continents. Ha ha ha. Seeing the 3 of Mu Yingying pouring into the center of the altar in front of him, the voice of King Xuanling laughed wildly like thunder. Sure enough, you are a bastard. And Xuanling King's group didn't put their eyes on it at all. Next to the 3 huge black-red pillars, 3 figures slowly appeared in everyone's sight. Bold. Who are you? How dare you be disrespectful to my king? Seeing Xiao Yan's 3 figures appearing, Wen Zi stepped forward and questioned Xiao Yan. Little bastard, I was just about to find you, but I didn't expect you to be delivered to your door. Since you're here, then stay here completely. After King Xuanling finished speaking, a terrifying power suddenly radiated out, and after that, many of the controlled powerhouses leaned forward slightly, with an indescribable force. The huge momentum suddenly emerged. 3 shifts. iNovel strives to create a reading environment without pop-up windows. If you like it, press Ctrl+D to add it as a favorite. With your support, let us go further. You can use the Enter, left-pointing arrow, right-pointing arrow shortcut keys to read.